Hello, how is it going, everybody? Today we're jumping into Ezekiel chapter 31. Let me make sure we're not lagging here real quick. Okay, perfect. So, what have we been talking about? Been talking about the judgment, right? And we finished up the judgment of Israel, and we're talking about the judgment of the surrounding nations. Yesterday we finished up with Tyre. And then we started off with the judgment of Egypt. And we're going to continue with that today. The proclamation against Egypt, the proclamation against Pharaoh. And then we're continuing off from there. So let's get started. Volume is up. All right. Let's go.
Now it came to pass in the 11th year, in the 3rd month, on the 1st day of the month, that the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, say to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his multitude,
Whom are you like in your greatness? Indeed, Assyria was a cedar in Lebanon, with fine branches that shaded the forest, and of high stature. And its top was among the thick boughs. The waters made it grow. Underground waters gave it height, with their rivers running around the place where it was planted, and sent out rivulets to all the trees of the field. Therefore its height was exalted above all the trees of the field. Its boughs were multiplied, and its branches became long, because of the abundance of water, as it sent them out. All the birds of the heavens made their nests in its boughs. Under its branches all the beasts of the field brought forth their young. And in its shadow all great...
Let me back it up.
came to pass in...
I was sort of sidetracked looking at trying to figure out. I'm getting a shadow on the green screen there, but... Oh, it's something with the lighting. I don't know. let's go back to reading. Okay, so now it came to pass in the... I gotta read it again. Now it came to pass in the 11th year, in the 3rd month, on the 1st day of the month, that the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, say to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to his multitude, Whom are you like in your greatness? Indeed, Assyria was a cedar in Lebanon, with fine branches that shaded the forest, and of high stature, and its top was among the thick boughs. The waters made it grow. Underground waters gave it height, with their rivers running around the place where it was planted, and set their rivulets to all the trees of the field. Therefore its height was exalted above all the trees of the field. Its boughs were multiplied, and its branches became long because of the abundance of water, as it sent them out. And we're still talking about Assyria here. All of the birds of the heavens made their nests in its boughs.
In its boughs. Under its branches all the beasts of the field brought forth their young. And in its shadow all great nations made their home. Thus it was beautiful in greatness, and in the length of...
We can't be talking about Assyria still. Indeed, Assyria was a cedar in Lebanon, with fine branches that shaded... the forest, and of high stature, and its top was among the boughs. The water made it grow, what? The cedar in Lebanon, which was Assyria. Underground waters gave it height. Yeah, so we are talking about Assyria still.
Its branches all the beasts of the field brought forth their young. And in its shadow all great nations made their home. Thus it was beautiful in greatness, and in the length of its branches, because its roots reached to abundant waters. The cedars in the garden of God could not hide it. The fir trees were not like its boughs, and the chestnut trees were not like its branches. No tree in the garden of God was like it in beauty. I made it beautiful, with a multitude of branches, so that all the trees of Eden envied it, that were in the garden of God.
All the trees of Eden envied it, that were in the garden of God. Why are we praising Assyria so much here? What? Let me see. Am I misinterpreting this? What am I doing? Indeed, Assyria was a cedar in Lebanon. Using the figure of a great tree, as also in Ezekiel 17, God here used the empire of Assyria to teach Egypt how he could establish a great power, then bring it down in judgment. Assyria was in the recent past a great empire. Right? Still talking about Assyria. No tree in the garden of God was like it in beauty. God represented the other nations of the world as other trees, such as cedars or the fir of the chestnut. None of them compared to Assyria in its day. Yet even this was the work of God. Yahweh said, I made it beautiful. That's crazy. Where God is praising Assyria so much, likening it to the greatest tree in all of Eden, paradise on earth. Wow. Yeah, I just didn't expect that.
Trees of Eden envied it, that were in the garden of God. Because you have increased in height, and it set its top among the thick boughs, and its heart was lifted up in its height, therefore I will deliver it into the hand of the mighty one of the nations, and he shall surely deal with it. I have driven it out for its wickedness, and aliens, the most terrible of the nations, have cut it down and left it. Its
you know what happened, right? The remnant of Jerusalem fled over to Egypt, and God sent the Babylonians to follow them over there. They thought they were going to flee and be safe in Egypt, but God's like, nope. And he sent the Babylonians over because they didn't want to stay under Babylonian rule in Jerusalem. And they obviously didn't want to be taken captive to Babylon. So they fled to Egypt, and the Babylonians followed them over there and took them and killed the Egyptians.
Branches have fallen on the mountains and in all the valleys. Its boughs lie broken by all the rivers of the land, and all the peoples of the earth have gone from under its shadow and left it. On its ruin will remain all the birds of the heavens, and all the beasts of the field will come to its branches, so that no trees by the waters may ever again exalt themselves for their height, nor set their tops among the thick boughs, that no tree which drinks water may ever be high enough to reach up to them. For they have all been delivered to death, to the depths of the earth, among the children of men who go down to the pit.
Thus says the Lord God, in the day when it went down to hell, I caused mourning. I covered the deep because of it.
What is that noise?
I restrained its rivers, and the great waters were held back. I caused Lebanon to mourn for it, and all the trees of the field wilted because of it. I made the nations shake at the sound of its fall,
Noise is kind of creepy.
when I cast it down to hell together with those who descend into the pit. And all the trees of Eden, the choice and the best of Lebanon, all that drink water, were comforted in the depths of the earth. They also went down to hell with it, with
So
those
all
slain by the sword,
Right?
and
all
those
this,
who were
all the neighboring nations. So those are all the trees of Eden. These great nations, they were all cast down from the best to the lowest. All these trees were cut down and cast down into Sheol.
where its strong arm dwelt in its shadows among the nations. To which of the trees in Eden will you then be likened in glory and greatness? Yet you shall be brought down with the trees of Eden to the depths of the earth. You shall lie in the midst of the uncircumcised, with those slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his multitude, says the Lord God.
Imagine the Pharaoh at that time thinking back, dang, I remember the stories of old where God, sent down the plagues and the Hebrews were freed, and like all the things that they went through, the boils and the locusts and all that stuff. And then knowing that this God is coming after him again, like this God is coming after Egypt again, and now he's Pharaoh. He'll be so terrified of being in that position. That must have been crazy being in from Egypt's point of view, being at the mercy of that same God that, that must have been crazy.
And it came to pass in the 12th year, in the 12th month, on the first day of the month, that the word of the Lord came to me.
Son of man, take up a lamentation for Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and say to him, you are like a young lion among the nations, and you are like a monster in the seas, bursting forth in your rivers, troubling the waters with your feet, and fouling their rivers. I will therefore spread my net over you with a company of many people, and they will draw you up in my net. Then I will leave you on the land. I will cast you out on the open fields, and cause to settle on you all the birds of the heavens. And with you I will fill the beasts of the whole earth. I will lay your flesh on the mountains, and fill the valleys with your carcass. I will also water the land with the flow of your blood, even to the mountains, and the riverbeds will be full of you. When I put out your light, I will cover the heavens and make its stars dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of the heavens I will make dark over you, and bring darkness upon your land. I will also trouble the hearts of many peoples, when I bring your destruction among the nations into the countries which you have not known. Yes, I will make many peoples astonished at you, and their kings shall be horribly afraid of you when I brandish my sword before them. And they shall tremble every moment, every man for his own life, in the day of your fall.
For thus says the Lord God,
Dang.
the sword of the king of Babylon shall come upon you, by the swords of the mighty warriors, all of them the most terrible of the nations. I will cause your multitude to fall. They shall plunder the pomp of Egypt, and all its multitude shall be destroyed. Also I will destroy all its animals from beside its great waters. The foot of man shall muddy them no more, nor shall the hooves of animals muddy them. Then I will make their waters clear, and make their rivers run like oil, says the Lord God. When I make the land of Egypt desolate, and the country is destitute of all that once filled it, when I strike all who dwell in it, then they shall know that I am the Lord. This is the lamentation with which they shall lament her. The daughters of the nations shall lament her. They shall lament for her, for Egypt, and for all her multitude, says the Lord God. It came to pass also in the 12th year, on the 15th day of the month, that the word of the Lord came to me.
Son of man, wail over the multitude of Egypt, and cast them down to the depths of the earth, her and the daughters of the famous nations, with those who go down to the pit. Whom do you surpass in beauty? Go down, be placed with the uncircumcised. They shall fall.
Uncircumcised, because circumcision was a sign, was a sign that you align with God, that you follow God. That's why God had the children of Israel behave certain ways, so that they could. There was a tangible separation between them and the rest of the nations. Circumcision being one of them. They're different than other people, and so they should carry themselves that way. So that's why he's saying, go down and be placed with the uncircumcised, because of the uncircumcised was those who didn't follow God's ways.
Fall in the midst of those slain by the sword. She is delivered to the sword, drawing her and all her multitudes. The strong among the mighty shall speak to him out of the midst of hell with those who help him. They have gone down. They lie with the uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Assyria is there, and all her company, with their graves all around her, all of them slain, fallen by the sword. Her graves are set in the recesses of the pit, and her company is all around her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, who caused terror in the land of the living. There is Elam, and all her multitude, all around her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, who have gone down uncircumcised to the lower parts of the earth, who caused their terror in the land of the living. Now they bear their shame with those who go down to the pit. They have set her bed in the midst of the slain, with all her multitude, with her graves all around it, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Though their terror was caused in the land of the living, yet they bear their shame with those who go down to the pit. It was put in the midst of the slain. There are Meshach and Tubal, and all their multitudes, with all their graves around it, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, though they caused their terror in the land of the living. They do not lie with the mighty who are fallen of the uncircumcised, who have gone down to hell with their weapons of war. They have laid their swords under their heads, but their iniquities will be on their bones, because of the terror of the mighty in the land of the living. Yes, you shall be broken in the midst of the uncircumcised, and lie with those slain by the sword. There is Edom, her kings and all her princes, who despite their might are laid beside those slain by the sword. They shall lie with the uncircumcised, and with those who go down to the pit. There are the princes of the north, all of them, and all the Sidonians, who have gone down with the slain in shame at the terror which they caused by their might. They lie uncircumcised with those slain by the sword. And
all of these, the lamentations, here's the lamentation for Pharaoh. It's usually, we've been seeing that they're talking good about the place or the person. And it's like, dang, you know, they were so great, yet they fell. And with Pharaoh, this is like no mercy at all. It's like, Pharaoh, you're going to be like traumatized when you go down there. You're going to see all the great nations that were destroyed, and you're going to be one among them. Just completely annihilated.
Uncircumcised with those slain by the sword, and bear their shame with those who go down to the pit. Pharaoh will see them and be comforted over all his multitude. Pharaoh and all his army.
Comforted over all his multitude, meaning like, hey, look, you know, I'm not the only one who got destroyed. Maybe that's why.
Slain by the sword.
Says the Lord God, for I have caused my terror in the land of the living, and he shall be placed in the midst of the uncircumcised with those slain by the sword. Pharaoh and all his multitude, says the Lord God.
I mean, I guess the fact that he has a multitude is some props to Pharaoh. Well, that's crazy. Like, remember with Tyre, they were praising Tyre, like, you know, it was complete, like a rich place, you know, they were like a trade hub, and God made them great amongst the nations, and then they fell. Same thing with the king of Tyre. You know, he was great, he was rich, he was well off, he was wise, and then he fell. Pharaoh, it was like, throughout the entire thing, it was just, man. I mean, it did say, you are a young lion among the nations, and you are like a monster in the seas, bursting forth in your rivers, troubling the waters with your feet, and fouling their rivers. Thus does the Lord. I will therefore spread my net over you. But see, that's it. Boom, and then it goes into the destruction. Man. Yeah, that must be crazy for Egypt, man, just to know that it is the same God that was with Moses. And it's happening. Like they must have been thinking, like, dang, we should have known. Yeah, that must have been insane from their perspective, and then from the people of Israel to know, just to be aware that this is happening again. I don't know, man. That must have been quite the, not event, but I mean occurrence. But that's gonna be it for today. Super short. I guess I should have kept some chapters from yesterday and put them in today, because yesterday's was long and today's is really short. But that's going to be it for today. Tomorrow we're jumping into 33. This one's subheaded, The Watchman and His Message. So who is this watchman? We'll find out tomorrow. Well, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed today's reading. Short, simple, to the point. We've been having some complicated ones lately, so it was I guess, little break. Get a nice, short, simple one. But tomorrow, we'll jump into chapter 33, and we'll continue on from there. So hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.